Well, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You're no longer a TESL newbie. So what's next? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Teacher David, and this is TESL for Newbies. For a happy life overseas, I think you need to worry about two main areas. First one is employment. Of course, what are you going to do for a living? Second is family. Are you going to just forever leave your family behind, or are you going to start a new family where you are now in the new country that you're living? And for no particular reason, we're going to start off with what I call the dream job. But what is a dream job? Especially what is a dream job in TESOL? Well, that's a good idea. That's a good question. Basically, my idea of a dream job is a job that you can go to every day that you enjoy, or at least don't hate. So if you can find a job like that, that's a good start. So how can you find the dream job for you right now? Well, I'm a big fan of doing things logically. And so my suggestion for you is to set out some kind of criteria. So I've got my own criteria. I'm going to share them with you and see what you think. You can see if they can help you when you're on your search for your dream job, or maybe they might stimulate you to think about what you can add to your search. So first on the list of my criteria is good pay relative to the cost of living. So depending on which country you're living in, the cost of living in that country is going to be higher or lower. So don't try to think of your pay as something across all countries. Think of your pay level according to where you're living at the time. And for me in Taiwan here, that means I need to be paid, or I hope to be paid anyway, more than any cram school will pay me. I want to work at some kind of private school or international school, and I want to make sure that the pay that they have paid holidays, paid vacation time, lots of different little things that maybe most cram schools won't have. A second thing you need to care about, or a second thing on my criteria, is a good English department director. You're going to be working with your coworkers a lot, but your English department director, that's the person in charge. That's the person that can make your life great, or in fact make your life a little bit of hell. So you need to find somebody you can trust and who will eventually show that that person trusts you. Someone who will treat you fairly and kind of have your back, so to speak, in case something goes wrong at school. But remember, this is a two-way street. If you expect trust and help from that person, you should be willing to give trust and help to that person. That way, everybody's happy with the situation. Number 3 on my list is good subjects to teach. Personally, as I've mentioned many times in the past, I love teaching reading, grammar, and writing. So as long as I've got all or one of those on my schedule, I'm happy. And the last one on my list of criteria is I want to think about the students I'm teaching. Can the students that I'm teaching behave, or can't they behave? Is there anything in place to ensure that students are there for an actual education, not just for fooling around or killing time or whatever it is? So I hope that they can behave, within reason. Because I've also got a bit of a teaching motto that I've developed over the years. I always think that if I teach children, I should expect them to act like children. However, if I teach adults, I should expect them to act like adults. So I like teaching children, I like teaching adults. But in between there, that junior high, senior high, that age I find to be particularly troublesome because a lot of kids who are nearly adults still act really childish. And I just don't want to deal with that. Plus, when you're junior high, senior high, everybody gets really interested in each other, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. So I don't want to deal with that either. So I like to teach young kids. I like to teach adults. That's my area. That's part of my criteria. That's why I keep it. So the next main section that I mentioned above was family life. So when you're here, are you going to be always yearning for your family back home? We've talked about that before, homesickness. Or are you going to start anew in the country where you're living? So for me, the biggest win as a TESOL teacher was finding that special someone, falling in love, and starting a life overseas. That was something I didn't expect, really didn't want to even look at or think about, but it happened anyway. And I'm quite pleased that it did. So, but the question becomes, well, if I'm Canadian and I have basic Western culture, and she's Taiwanese and she has basically Asian culture, how do we combine those two cultures together in a way without conflict? Because there's a lot of cultural difference in there. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now and tell you the method we use to approach the differences and to make them advantages, not disadvantages. So what we did is we came up with a plan. Like I told you, I like plans, and happily, so does my wife. So first on our plan was, where should we choose to live? Where do we want to live? Especially when you consider cost of living. So we determined that living in Taiwan was, here it was much easier for my wife to find and get a decent job, good pay, stability, something that she can be actually happy about going to work every day. In Canada, it could happen, definitely, but it would be a lot harder and take many more years. So because of that, we decided, okay, let's stay in Taiwan. Whereas I can get essentially, when adjusted for cost of living, the same pay. Then we decided to have children. So what language should the children speak? Okay, that was the next big thing that we needed to, the next big hurdle essentially that we needed to think about. So we decided, well, while they're at home, especially while they're at home with me, they'll use English. When we're reading at home, we'll read using English books. Watching TV at home, we'll use English television with English captions. And that's worked out quite well. However, when they go to school, we decided they should go to school using Chinese, so a local school using Mandarin Chinese. We decided that because learning kind of special key terms, if you want to use English in university, they could do that later on in life quite easily with a good base. However, if some of you may know, learning Mandarin as an adult is incredibly difficult, especially if you want to do reading and writing. So we figure our idea, our thoughts were, let's give them the best gift we can. Give them Mandarin as a child so they don't even really think about it while they're learning it. At the same time, give them English so when they're adult, they can choose to go overseas to school if they want to, back to Canada or somewhere else in Europe perhaps. Okay, so that's it for today and for this series. That's it. We're done with TESOL for Newbies. I hope you've enjoyed watching my videos, and I hope some of you have watched almost all the way along. I certainly know I've enjoyed making them. In the future, I'm going to start a couple new projects. I'll give you a heads up in the future what they will be. One connected to this channel, one connected to TESOL for Newbies, and another one that is going to be connected to a new channel that I'm in the process of making right now. Once that new channel's up and running, I'll send you a message. I'll make a short video, an introductory video, and you can check it out then. Okay, I'll catch you in the future. Hopefully everything is going well. Bye for now.